You ever stand in the middle of a dream and realize it's your worst nightmare? That was me, standing like a goddamn statue in the middle of the dance floor at my daughter's wedding, champagne glass trembling in my hand. Laughter, lights, clinking silverware, it all blurred into a dull buzz. Because across the room, I saw my three kids, Ashley, Connor, and little Emma, huddled up with my best friend Mike. Mike, my best man, the guy who held my head up through every storm, the man who swore loyalty while holding a cigar at my bachelor party 24 years ago. Then my wife, Claire, walked over to them in that red dress she knew I hated. She always wore things I despised, just to get under my skin. I watched her lean in close to Mike, kiss him on the cheek like it was some sacred ritual, and say the words that detonated every inch of my existence. Remember when we made him believe the vasectomy worked? All three are yours. And now he paid for this $1 million wedding too. The glass shattered in my hand before I even realized I'd clenched it. Blood dripped down my knuckles. The whole room blurred, but their laughter? That I heard clearly. Then Connor, the one I coached through Little League, the one I stayed up nights with when he had asthma, chimed in with a voice that was supposed to belong to his son. Uncle Mike's our real dad anyway. I don't remember walking up to the DJ. I don't remember grabbing the mic. But the whole hall went silent when I did. One thing before we cut the cake, I said, voice hoarse with fury. This wedding's off. And you three? You're cut out of my will. Hope Uncle Mike has a trust fund. Cause Daddy's done playing fool. Gasps, murmurs, confusion. Claire's smile fell. Finally. But it was too damn late. I walked out before the cake hit the floor. Never looked back. Didn't need to. I knew the fire I'd lit would burn everything behind me. But that was just the beginning. The night I left, I didn't go home. I drove straight to my office, locked the doors, opened my safe, and pulled out every file I'd kept hidden, even from Claire. I had secrets of my own. Not lies, just truths I never needed to use. Until now. First was the prenup she thought we lost in a flood back in 2008. I had it sealed in triple wrap and tucked into my old Army footlocker. She wasn't getting a dime. Not a damn penny. Second, I had the paternity test I did 10 years ago after Connor joked that he didn't look like me. At the time, I told myself it was a stupid impulse, but I kept the results. 3 names. 3 zeros. Not the father. Claire's betrayal wasn't sudden, it was strategic. Premeditated. A long con. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my leather chair, staring at our family portrait, and felt the kind of rage that makes you see white. Not red, white. Cold. Clinical. Deadly. The next morning, I started making calls. My lawyer, my private investigator, my old college roommate, Dan, who happened to be one of the most brutal divorce attorneys in the state of Texas. I want a clean slice, I told him, and I want her to bleed. He chuckled. Buddy, you're the groom who canceled a wedding at the altar. You've got all the leverage. But it wasn't about leverage anymore. It was about war. Claire didn't know it yet, but I was about to dismantle her life, piece by piece, with the same calm precision she used to destroy mine. She wanted to play games? Then welcome to the arena. This was day 1 of nuclear revenge, and the snake pit had no idea it was about to burn. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I let her sweat. The next time Claire saw me was 2 days later, at the house I'd paid for, the one with the wraparound porch she decorated like something out of a lifestyle magazine. She opened the door, fake tears in her eyes, mascara smeared just right. Always the performer. Always playing some pathetic, manipulative role. Ethan, what the hell are you doing? She asked, voice cracking on cue. Canceling Ashley's wedding in front of everyone? Are you insane? I stepped inside without saying a word. Walked past her, into the living room, sat on the couch and calmly pulled a thick manila folder from my coat. I set it down on the coffee table and flipped it open. 3 DNA test results. All signed. All confirming I was never the biological father. She stared, didn't move. I could hear her heartbeat in the silence. Then I said it. Quiet. Cold. The words that made her flinch like I'd slapped her. I know everything, Claire. Every damn thing. She tried to laugh. That nervous, high-pitched fake laugh she used when backed into a corner. Are you serious right now? Ethan, that test could be faked. You're being paranoid. I slammed the next page down. A photo of her and Mike. Holding hands. Kissing. And not just recently. This was 12 years ago. My PI found dozens. Different locations. Different years. Her face dropped. But then came the shift. The moment she transformed. The mask slid off, and underneath wasn't remorse. It was venom. So what if they're not yours? She hissed. You think any of that matters now? You think a piece of paper changes who raised them, who fed them, who stayed up every night making sure Emma got her asthma meds? Because it wasn't Mike. It was you. You were the idiot who believed the fairy tale. My hands curled into fists. Not because she was wrong, but because she was right. I had believed it. Every birthday, every family photo, every I love you, Daddy. A lie. All of it. She crossed her arms and smirked. And what? You think this gives you power now? Newsflash, you were always the second choice. Mike was the one I wanted. You were the one I needed. For your paycheck. For your house. For your status. You were useful. Useful. I stared at her like I didn't even know who the hell I married. Maybe I never did. You're disgusting, I whispered. She rolled her eyes. Oh please, don't act like some tragic hero. You were a boring, predictable man with a predictable life. I brought excitement into this house. You should be thanking me. That was it. That was the moment I knew there was no soul left in this woman. Just a rotting shell dressed in lipstick and expensive heels. I stood up, picked up the folder, and said, You're going to hear from Dan Monroe tomorrow. Don't try to lie. Don't try to manipulate the kids. This is over. She laughed again. Oh, you think they're going to take your side? They hate you now. They think you ruined the wedding out of spite. I walked to the door, pausing just long enough to fire one final shot. Let them hate me. They'll learn soon enough who their mother really is. And when they do, they'll wish I hadn't paid for that wedding. And then I left. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. She had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. But she would. After I left that day, I drove aimlessly for hours. No destination. Just roads and rage. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I couldn't stop thinking about her voice, so calm, so damn arrogant. As she called me predictable, that word echoed in my skull like a gunshot. Claire didn't just cheat. She dismantled a life we built, brick by brick, and smiled while I carried the load. By sunset, I found myself parked in front of a little cabin I inherited from my grandfather, deep in the hills outside of Austin. No one knew about it. I never told Claire. I kept it untouched for years, just in case I ever needed to disappear. I stepped inside, dropped my keys, and fell onto the old leather couch like a man who'd been hollowed out. The silence there was heavier than any courtroom, colder than her touch. That's when the pain started to mutate into something else. Fire. I remembered every detail of the past 25 years like a slow-motion reel of humiliation. The late-night phone calls with coworkers she'd whisper through. The random trips to see her sister that never made sense. The times I came home early and she rushed to close her laptop or jump in the shower. I chalked it all up to stress, to motherhood, to me overthinking. God, what a fool I was. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the desk with a pen and pad and started making a list. Not a list of revenge, a war plan. Claire wanted to be cruel? Then she'd learn what cruelty felt like when it came from someone with nothing left to lose. First name on the list, Dan Monroe. My lawyer, the shark. I gave him full access to every account, every property, every document Claire thought she'd buried. I authorized asset separation, froze shared credit cards, and secured emergency custody documentation, even though none of the kids were technically mine. I was going to make sure that legally, they knew who'd been their father for 2 decades. Let Mike try to step up. Let's see how he handles medical bills, tuition, and broken hearts. Second name, Mike. My former best friend. I pulled his name from every business contract we ever had. We co-invested in a few projects years back, mostly through trust. I bought him out at a loss just to sever ties instantly. I didn't even give him a call. I made sure he found out through his lawyer. Let him rot in the silence. Third name, Ashley. My daughter, or so I thought. I had the wedding venue send her the invoice with a note saying, final bill, paid in full. Courtesy of the man you publicly humiliated. I didn't say father. I didn't say love. Just the truth. They all wanted me to play the villain? Fine. I'd become the devil they deserved. 2 days later, I returned to town. Not home. Never again. I stayed in a hotel near my office and began sorting through everything Claire and I ever shared. Photos, emails, records. Every picture felt like acid. Every memory, a punch to the gut. She had infiltrated every part of my life. But now, I was erasing her from every part of mine. Then came the email. From Emma, the youngest. Dad, why are you doing this? Mom said you're trying to destroy us. I stared at the screen for a long time. I could have told her everything. Could have attached the files, the photos, the DNA results. But I didn't. I wrote back one sentence. Ask her who your real father is. No anger. No explanation. Just truth. And I knew. That was the first crack in the illusion she'd wrapped around those kids like a silk rope. One by one, it would all unravel. The storm was far from over. The reply came 3 hours later. Emma again. She won't answer. She just cried and said you're trying to ruin everything. That was Claire's signature move. Tears. A weapon she sharpened to perfection. She used them in arguments, during job interviews, even once at the DMV when she was caught with expired tags. She cried and let everyone else do the drowning. But Emma wasn't a little girl anymore. She sent a second message right after. What does that mean? About my real father? I stared at the blinking cursor. My heart throbbed, but not from pain this time. From pressure. I had a choice. Either protect their image of their mother or do what I should have done years ago. Give them the truth, no matter how much it burned. So I sent the files. The DNA reports. The photos of Claire and Mike. The transcripts from my PI showing years of betrayal, timestamps, and locations. I even sent a clip of Claire's voice from the wedding. The moment she said, "Remember when we made him believe the vasectomy worked?" No filter. No preamble. Let them see the monster without her mask. 2 hours passed. No response. Then my phone rang. Ashley. My heart sank. I hadn't heard her voice since the wedding day. Dad? She asked, voice trembling. I stayed quiet. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. She told us, she always said it didn't matter who our biological dad was. That you didn't want kids. That the vasectomy was your idea, not hers. She was crying. Real tears, not like her mother's crocodile act. My throat tightened. She made us believe you were cold. That you didn't care. Every time you pulled away emotionally, she told us you regretted having us. We grew up thinking Mike was the one who really cared. He bought us gifts, played the cool uncle. But he was never there. Not like you were. My eyes burned. I hadn't cried since the day my father died. But right then, I felt the sting coming fast. I'm sorry, she whispered. We were so stupid. I exhaled slowly. You were lied to, Ashley. That's not your fault. She sobbed harder. Is there any way to fix this? I don't know, I said honestly. But that wedding? That day was a funeral for the family I thought I had. She didn't respond. I think she understood. Some things, once dead, don't come back. Later that night, I got a call from Connor. He didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He was angry. At her, at Mike, at the lie that was his entire childhood. I don't know who the hell I am anymore, he said. If Mike's my real dad, why does that feel worse than if it were nobody? Because Mike was a parasite, a shadow, a backstabbing coward who couldn't build his own family. So he snuck into mine and wore my skin like a damn trophy. I raised you, I said. Don't ever forget that. He didn't answer. He hung up. But I knew he heard me. The next morning, I had breakfast alone in a diner off the highway. Claire hadn't reached out, probably still spinning her web, trying to keep Emma from digging deeper. But the cracks were there, and I wasn't done. I opened my phone and typed out a message I'd been rehearsing since the wedding. To Claire. Subject, final chapter. You built your kingdom on lies. I was your pawn, your wallet, your shield. But I'm still standing, and you're about to learn what happens when the game turns. You've got until Friday to vacate the house. All financial ties are severed. And as for Mike, he'll be getting his own little gift package very soon. I signed it with 2 words. No mercy. Then I hit send. This was no longer about justice. This was personal. Friday came faster than I expected. The final deadline. I didn't sleep the night before, just paced the floor of my hotel room while legal papers printed beside me. Claire had 72 hours notice to leave the house. The law was airtight, thanks to the prenup she signed without reading all those years ago. She thought it was just a formality. I knew back then, there was always a chance she'd turn. And I was right. At 10 a.m., I arrived with the sheriff and my attorney. Claire answered the door in a silk robe like it was a damn brunch date. No makeup, messy bun, trying to play the helpless damsel again. This is harassment, she snapped, arms crossed. You can't just throw me out of my house. My attorney, Dan Monroe, stepped forward with the eviction order. Actually, ma'am, we can. And we are. You snake, she whispered, looking at me. No, I said calmly. You had the snake. His name was Mike. She shoved past Dan and stormed down the hallway. This is ridiculous. I gave you everything. I sacrificed my body for those kids. I lived in your boring life, and now you're taking away my home. I followed her to the living room. You sacrificed nothing. You lied for 2 decades and lived off me like a parasite. You made me raise another man's children and then bragged about it at our daughter's wedding. You don't get to cry victim now. She looked at me, something breaking behind her eyes for the first time. Not guilt, panic. Because she was finally losing control. You can't take everything, she said, voice small now. You already did. I'm just taking it back. With one final sweep of the house, she realized it was over. All the designer bags, the furniture, the cars, all under my name. Even the credit cards were frozen. She stormed upstairs to pack. I didn't follow. I stood there in the center of the home I built with my own 2 hands and felt nothing. No nostalgia. No pain. Just release. 2 hours later, she left. Suitcase in one hand, phone in the other, probably texting Mike like a coward. She didn't even say goodbye. I didn't expect her to. Later that day, I paid a little visit of my own. Mike's gym was a sleek spot in downtown Austin. Mirrors, supplements, fake smiles. I walked in, straight past the receptionist, and found him benching in the back room. When he saw me, the bar wobbled. His spotter looked confused. Hey, Ethan. Man, what the hell? I waved his spotter off. Give us the room. Mike sat up, sweating. Look, I know you're pissed, but this wasn't supposed to come out like that. You mean, not in front of 200 wedding guests? I smiled. Yeah, bet that ruined your little secret fantasy life. Claire told me the kids needed me, that you were emotionally distant. She said she didn't have a choice. She also told me she was loyal for 25 years. Funny how lies feel different when they're pointed at you, huh? He stood up, chest puffed. What do you want, man? I stepped closer. I want you to remember this face. The one you lied to, laughed at, and betrayed. I want you to never forget that everything you built with her was funded by me. Her lifestyle? My money. Her stability? My work. Her children? My legacy. You took it all, and still, you'll always be second place. He tried to talk, but I didn't give him the chance. By the way, I added, pulling an envelope from my coat, here's a gift. You'll be getting paternity lawsuits from all 3 kids. Retroactive child support. Education bills. Medical expenses. Let's see how Dad of the Year holds up in court. Then I left him standing there, stunned. No punch. No fight. Just truth. The kind that bleeds slow. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not because it was over, but because it had finally begun. The next week was a storm, but not the kind that shook me. It was the kind that stripped her of every ounce of illusion she'd ever built. First came the blowback from the kids. Emma called again, this time not to ask, but to scream. You lied to us, she shouted over the phone. You told us he abandoned us, that he didn't want children. And Mike? He just stuttered and walked out when I asked if he was really our father. I didn't interrupt. I let her rage pour out like fire through a crack in a dam. She needed it. She'd been raised in a house where love was just a tool Claire used to manipulate. Now she was seeing the wires. You made us hate him, she hissed. You made us think he was cold, unloving. But he was just broken. Because of you. Claire must have been nearby, because I suddenly heard shouts in the background. Then Emma again. She's trying to make me feel guilty. She says you're turning us against her. I said the only thing that mattered. No. She turned you against the truth. I'm just holding up a mirror. Emma didn't answer, but she didn't hang up either. The silence spoke enough. Next came the financial cascade. Claire tried to get a lawyer, but I had already locked everything down. She thought she'd find a loophole, that her crocodile tears would work in court. But the judge wasn't blind. She brought in screenshots of texts between her and Mike, voicemails, and the recording from the wedding. When the judge heard her bragging about the kids not being mine, she didn't even flinch when denying Claire's spousal support. I was tricked into raising another man's children for over 2 decades, I said calmly during my testimony. She can earn her own future now. Claire didn't even look at me. She sat stiff, pale, chewing the inside of her cheek. Her mask was off now, and everyone saw the venom beneath. Mike, too, was getting his share of karma. The kids, God, I still thought of them that way, had filed their suits. Retroactive support. Emotional distress. Loss of identity. Ashley was the most aggressive. Turns out being humiliated on your wedding day flips a switch. She wanted everything. And she had the receipts to prove emotional manipulation, including therapy bills from when Claire told her, at 16, "Your father wishes you weren't born." I never knew she said that. It broke me. But now, it broke Claire. I stayed out of the lawsuits. Let them have their own war. Mine was nearly done. I sold the house, liquidated the furniture, donated every photo, every souvenir, every trinket with her face on it. Gone. Erased. And then I did the most important thing. I left town. Not forever, but long enough. I needed distance, peace. A place where the ghosts didn't sleep in the walls. I took a cabin up north. Sparse. Cold. Honest. One night, I sat by the fire with a whiskey in hand, watching snow drift outside the window, and finally asked myself the question I'd been dodging for weeks. Did I still love her? The answer came like a whisper from my bones. No. I loved the version of her I thought was real. That woman never existed. What I loved was a ghost. What I fought for was a lie. And now? Now I was finally free of both. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel proud. I felt clean. And that was enough. Winter turned everything white where I was staying. The snow muffled the world like a soft warning. Breathe, rest, rebuild. But healing isn't peaceful. It's not clean or calm. It's messy, and it comes in waves. Some nights I'd wake up thinking I heard Emma call me Dad, again, just like when she was little. Some mornings I'd catch myself checking my phone for Claire's voice, forgetting for a split second that her voice now belonged to the past, and it carried venom. I'd lost more than a wife. I'd lost a family. And yet, somewhere in the wreckage, I found pieces of something real, honesty, clarity, myself. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from Connor. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. I expected anger. Instead, his voice was shaky. "Dad," he said. "Not Ethan. Not silence. Dad, I'm sorry it took me this long to call," he continued. "I didn't know how to process any of this. You raised me, coached me, taught me how to drive, fight, fix a tire. I always thought Mike was just the cool uncle. I never thought he was, you know." I let him talk. Every word chipped away at the ice around my heart. "She told us lies," he said, "for years. And we just believed her. She made you out to be some cold, grumpy guy who didn't care. I see now you were just tired. Tired of carrying something you didn't even know you were carrying." I didn't know what to say, so I said the truth. "I loved you like you were mine. Still do." There was silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "I know. And I'm sorry." We talked for 2 hours. About nothing. About everything. It was the first real conversation we'd had in years. No poison between us. No Claire to spin it. Just man to man. Son to, maybe not by blood, but in every way that mattered. When the call ended, I stared out the cabin window and realized something. I wasn't broken anymore. Bent. Yeah. Bruised. Hell yes. But not broken. The next day, I started writing letters. One to Ashley. One to Emma. One to Connor. I didn't know if they'd keep me in their lives. That choice had to be theirs. But I needed them to know the truth. Not about Claire, not about Mike. About me. About the man who loved them more than life and who never wanted revenge. Just justice. Just peace. I wrote to each of them about the first time I held them. The way Emma used to sleep curled up on my chest. The way Connor cried when his dog died and I held him all night. The way Ashley once wrote me a Father's Day card that said, "Thanks for being my forever hero." God, that one hurt. But I ended each letter with the same line. Blood doesn't make you family. Love does. And I will always love you. No matter what you choose. Then I mailed them. No return address. No signature. Just truth, wrapped in paper and forgiveness. A few days later, I got a package. Inside was a photo of the three of them. Older now, no Claire, no Mike, smiling. On the back was one sentence, written in Ashley's handwriting. "We choose you." I stared at that. Claire never called. Not once. Not even after she lost the house, the cars, the support, and worst of all, control over the kids. Maybe she was too proud. Maybe she was too delusional to admit she lost. Or maybe, deep down, she knew that if she heard my voice again, it'd be the last thread holding together the fantasy she built from lies. But Mike did. Oh, he called. Late one night. Block number, muffled breath on the other end. "You happy now?" he said, voice hoarse, bitter. "You ruined her. You turned the kids against her. You burned everything to the ground." I didn't answer right away. Just let the silence stew until it became unbearable for him. I didn't ruin anything, Mike. I just lit a match. You and Claire built the pile of lies yourselves. He chuckled, but there was no humor in it. Just regret. Just pain. You think you won? He asked. No, I said. There's no winning in betrayal. There's just surviving it. He went quiet again. Then, almost whispering, they hate me, you know. The kids. Ashley said I'm nothing but a sperm donor. Emma won't talk to me. Connor threatened to knock my teeth out if I showed up to his graduation. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. That wasn't the point. You earned it, I said. But hey, at least now you know what it feels like to be me. He hung up, and that was the last time I heard from either of them. Weeks passed. The cabin became less of a hiding place and more of a sanctuary. I built routines, chopped wood, took long walks, wrote in journals, found pieces of myself in the silence. And then, one day, I packed my bags and drove back to the city. Not for revenge, not for closure, but for life. I bought a small loft downtown. No more white picket fences, no more family barbecues, no more pretending. Just a man and a view, and the sound of traffic below reminding me the world keeps moving, even when yours crashes. Ashley invited me to dinner. Just me and the kids. No plus ones. No Claire. No Mike. When I walked in, Emma hugged me first. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Connor gave me one of those stiff, awkward man hugs and whispered, "Thanks for not giving up." Ashley held my hand a moment longer than necessary. Her eyes shimmered. "Thanks for showing us the truth," she said. Dinner was warm, honest, simple. No masks, no lies, just family, the kind that chose each other despite the wreckage. Before I left that night, Emma pulled me aside. "She's living in a studio now," she said. "Out near the edge of town. Alone. Looks old." I nodded. Said nothing. Emma studied me. "You don't hate her, do you?" I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. A woman now. A survivor. "No," I said. "I don't hate her. Hating her would mean she still has a place in me. But she doesn't. She's just a chapter. And I've already turned the page." She smiled. And for the first time, it wasn't sad. It was proud. As I walked out into the night, wind brushing my face, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not the kind that's loud and triumphant. The kind that's quiet and steady. The kind you earn. So, here's my advice. To any man out there who's been stabbed in the back, lied to, used. Don't waste your time trying to fix a ghost. Burn the mask. Grieve the dream. Rebuild. And when the ashes settle, walk forward, head high, heart open. Because survival isn't the end.